Things like that. Somebody record it, I'll get it later. People need to just hear what's going on.
Going through it, so live here. There's Alex, see Spartan.
Can I get everybody's attention?
Scotty
Everybody
boy.
that's came here today to show me a wee bit of support, can I get your attention please? Listen, I just want to thank you all personally, to the bottom of my heart, for turning up here today. I didn't ask anybody to, you have came out on your own free will, and I appreciate absolutely every single one of you. And every single one of you should be proud of yourself for being willing to stand here and ask the questions that are concerning you about what's going on in your community. If you understand what the problems are, you have seen it for yourselves. There's a reason you are all stood here. Do you understand? We're not here for the racial side of things. Nobody here is, nobody cares about that. Everybody's here because they're worried about the sexual predators that are in our community and being hidden in our community. Out of the Mercure Hotel there has been convictions. There has been convictions there. The address is given as New Abbey Road. You cannot deny the fact that there's been convictions out of there. Nobody can take that away. The concerns of the public in Dumfries are that crimes are happening against women and children, right? These crimes are happening against women and children and nothing appears to be getting done about it. If you have a conversation with anybody who stays in Dumfries and you listen to what they're saying and the concerns they've got and you ask them if it's been reported and you ask them what's happened, nothing seems to be happening about this. People are reporting things, people have got concerns and nothing seems to be happening about it. We're all stood here because we want to make a change, we want to make a difference about it. And I thank every single one of you for having the courage to come and stand up about it, because you will be judged, people will look at you and try and use things against you. If you're not for that side of things, if you're concerned about what's going on and you're not for the racial side of things, come and stand with us, have an opinion, get your opinion out there, be able to speak about it, not be afraid to speak about it. Show the concerns, let everybody see that it's okay to come and stand and listen. If you're concerned about the convictions that are coming out of the hotels and they're an issue to you, then come and stand and say something about it, do something about it. You don't need to go and smash a hotel up. You don't need to do the things that everybody will expect people that they class as having a problem with this sort of thing. Do you understand? You'll be branded, you'll be put into a...
That's what they want.
That's exactly what they want. Well, don't give them it. Don't give them the reason. You can come in, you can do what we're doing now, without the convictions coming out. 32 people charged in Dumfries after the first protest for having an opinion.
Fucking joke.
It's ridiculous.
Fucking
it's
joke.
ridiculous.
I'm still waiting on a chop, Scott. Still waiting on a chop.
And I am as well. And if it comes, it comes. Listen, we're doing nothing wrong by expressing our concerns.
They'll need to drag me away.
In the right way. Express the concerns that you've got in the right way, because if you don't, you're going to end up another statistic, and there's no point in anybody catching a charge for something that should not be happening in the community. Yep, you're getting a charge, everybody's getting these charges, 32 people charged, everybody's got a charge for having an opinion on something that's happening in their hometown, right? They came out to show their frustration, to show their anger, and to show their concern about what's going on, and now they've got a charge. That isn't right, that shouldn't be happening. But people can come together and we can say it and we can change things. If we do it right, we can change things, we can have an opinion, we can make it happen, we can start getting more people gathering and more people of the same opinion. If you look about yourselves, I've said this to people that I've been speaking to, right? And it's a simple example. If you look about the high street in the town and now where we're all stood, have a look about you and you'll see one parent walking up the street with a child, hand in hand, right? One parent will be walking up that street with a child, hand in hand. What does that parent do when the chap at the door comes to fucking them? Exactly. Right? You've got to have your opinion, you've got to have your voice on this, because if the chap at the door comes to your house, you're no fucking handle on it.
Prevention's better than cure, Scott. Do you know what I mean?
Happen to any single one of us, right?
Shouldn't be allowed to get that far.
Here the day, right? She's 73-year-old, scared to take her dog a walk after fucking 5 o'clock at night. And that's not any bullshit, that's no things, that's a genuine concern. And if you speak to everybody who's of the same age as my mother and does the same thing, takes their dogs out for walks or go for a wander after their tea at night time, they're not doing it now. They're not doing it now.
And that shouldn't be allowed.
Of course it shouldn't be allowed.
Our kids and that shouldn't be living in fear, having to walk about their town.
Exactly that. This, what people in Dumfries need to remember, this is your tune. And I said this last night when I was speaking to somebody, mind what the tune used to be like. Mind what the tune used to be like.
Safe.
I'm looking at you, you ken who I am, that's why I'm looking at you. Mind what we used to do when we were younger. Mind what we all used to do, kick about, and what we used to get up to when we were 14, 13, 14, 15. How would you allow your kids to do that now? No. Would you fuck? Would you? Not a chance.
Especially not if they're female.
Especially, but listen, it doesn't matter now. Listen, these crimes are happening against women, children, male and female.
These vigilante groups
Yeah.
going up and down the high street in a weekend, Scotland.
The vigilante groups are just going to land people into a sentence. Do you understand what I
I need
mean?
trouble though.
They're gonna land people in bother.
Like pub bouncers for the high street, man.
We shouldn't have to, because we technically have employed.
But you can't rely on that. Them tennis ball cunts in the doorway there, Scott, because they'll not do fuck all, ken what I mean?
You look, Scott, you look at like Glasgow, Blackpool and all that. They have these like kind of angels, they call them. If there's something wrong, you go to them as well as the police up the street.
Yeah, right.
They can spend 44.5 million on a flood defence. They can't prevent.
They're spending, the council are spending money on whatever they're spending money on. Whoever they're going to put in place to do whatever they're going to put in place to, it isn't going to change things. This needs to be people coming together and having the voice, because at the end of the day, you could get a councillor here.
If you're watching this in your local, get yourself along, folks.
You could ask them the questions and they'll shit themselves and they'll fumble and they'll look for the speech that they've been handed to read to you. They won't come. I asked them to come. Where are they?
They'll never come.
They'll never come. But they'll ask you for the votes.
In 2 years of protesting about child exploitation at George Square in Glasgow, no councillor ever engaged with the protesters.
It's not embarrassing.
No one in the establishment, no one in authority ever approached a very large audience, sometimes in the thousands, and asked for documented proof, evidence, or what our concerns were. No one in Glasgow authority ever came to George Square and said, what proof do you have of claim that children are being exploited in the city? They are not interested.
No, they're not. They're 100%
They've
not
never been interested.
I've asked them in Dumfries. I've had MPs, councillors slander me.
But at the end of the 2 year, the Mayor of Glasgow took a photo opportunity with an Afghani charity to come to George Square for a photo opportunity, and I collared them and I said, we've stood outside the city chambers in hail, rain and snow for 2 years. You've known that we're here. Never once have you asked us why we're here. Never once have you shown concern that we're here advocating about kids being exploited and vulnerable people. But you'll come here and stand for a photo opportunity with a charity that's probably took thousands of millions of pounds out of the country for shady, shadowy secretaries and CEOs of charities.
It's 100%.
But you've got no interest in the safety of children.
It's 100%.
That's who represents you.
Yeah. And when you ask
Don't know,
them
they
to
sleep
come
at
and
night.
speak to you, when you ask them to come and speak to you and answer the questions, there's people stood here that I've never met in my life, and there's people stood beside other people that they've never met in their life. So this is people of Dumfries with a concern. So where are the people that are going to ask for the votes?
These two have definitely met each other.
If they haven't, they're getting it on the night, Scotty boy.
See, aye, bringing people together. But like I say, they're going to ask you for your votes. They're going to ask you to put them in charge of this. But what are they actually doing? What have they stepped out and said? Why has nobody came out and said there is an issue here at the hotel? The alarms have been handed to children. That is an issue. I'm going to address it. Not one of them has said that. Not one of them has said that. I've had them coming at me, branding me everything, absolutely branding me everything, and let them, because at the end of the day, if they came here and stood here and they listen to people who are stood, not just here, but if you look around you, there's pockets of people stood around, right? People who are listening to what I'm saying, but not coming and standing. 100% that's fine, absolutely it's fine, stand at the side and listen. But it's going to get to the point where you're going to need to come in and join everybody together.
Same with the councillor in Falkirk, she could help them come back at the hub protest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they put 90 men in that Glasgow hotel, which some of them have already been convicted for sexual crimes.
It's the same thing down there.
You know what I mean?
It's the same thing down there. It's exactly the same thing down there. There's men in that hotel that have been convicted for crimes. Yes. But what I want, right, and what I want them to come out and give us, what I think the authorities should be telling people is, how many complaints have been made?
They won't tell you, Scott.
I know they won't.
Because of GDPR, right? They've got a get out of jail card with GDPR, okay?
Yeah.
A freedom information request is going to be rejected. They will never tell you the amount of crimes committed because they do not record crimes by ethnicity. So fundamentally, the system's flawed from the top to the bottom, right? Or the bottom to the top, whatever way you want to look at it, it's flawed. It's flawed by design because that would water down the narrative
Absolutely.
That would extinguish
This
the
is what we
narrative.
seem to be exposing massive amounts
And
of.
they can't have that because they're driving this as a business.
What people in the town need to do, right? People in Dumfries need to do is every person has spoken to somebody who's got a concern or a complaint. Everybody's heard a story about this woman's been followed, this has happened, that's happened. The person who comes to you with that story, you tell them you need to come, you need to have the bollocks about you to tell somebody about. Tell me about it. I'm not asking you to come here and scream and shout and expose everything that's ever happened to you. I wouldn't ask somebody.
Just to get the Union Jack down here,
Talk to
man.
me about it. Talk to me about it and I'll voice it, no problem. But the town needs to start putting all their concerns together. We need to start voicing it a bit louder, because at the end of the day it's not going to change a single thing. If we allow it to continue to happen, it's going to be a front page news article. It's going to be a front page news article in the town. It's going to be a lassie that one of us will know or be connected to the family. It's going to be somebody that one of us will know that's going to be a front page news article in the town. Look what's going on around the country. You read them almost daily. Horrific attacks. Rapes of women by 4, 5, 6 men. Do you understand how bad that is? These people made different listen to me. We're men. There's men stood here, and there's a couple of handy boys stood about in here as well. That's women in our town, boys. That's women in our town. That's children in our town. That's one day going to be landing on our doorstep, connected to somebody that we directly know. What are we going to do about it?
Nobody does nothing, though.
Nobody does nothing about it.
This is the problem.
But
This is
folk
what
need
Alec
to-
that's been saying.
Alec's been doing it for years, absolute years, and I honestly, I don't know how he
Nobody
can.
comes up to these things, though.
Nobody turns up to them, but I'm willing to stand here by myself, because at the end of the day, if I stand here by myself, I'm
won't be
still
alone.
doing it. I'll never be alone.
right,
I'll never be alone.
Your conscience is clear enough, Scott.
I've
Ken what
never
I
been
mean?
alone since the day I started
Listen,
it.
spring summertime's coming in, right? This is an opportunity for up and down this country for people to get out in the streets and actually show a bit of bite. You know what I mean? There's nothing racist about what we do. Right?
Spring.
You're concerned about your communities. Right? You've got men in these hotels, right? Nobody knows nothing about. Right?
Exactly.
And you get these lifeguards that turn up with the "We Welcome All." And to give you an example, in Falkirk, not that long ago, right? There was a young lassie was sexually assaulted by one of the migrants in that hotel. The following week, over 300 of them turned out and were dancing about in front of that hotel, knowing fine well that there was another victim created for that hotel. And this is an all too familiar story up in this country.
Fucking busting them in, man. They fucking bust them in.
Do you know
And
what I
if you
mean?
look at the internet, if you look at the stories that are coming out, they're everywhere.
Aye.
It is happening constantly.
You've just got to
And
show a bit less fear.
people are scared to have an opinion on it. People are scared to say something
Aye.
about it. Why?
Fuck that.
Why?
Because everybody who's in employment is being governed by
But
fear.
what's the persecution when the chap at the door happens
Right, you're
to
being
them?
governed by fear because employers are emailing their employees and saying, if you associate with any of these protests or antagonists,
You're sacked.
that you will be reprimanded and disciplined. Okay, you need to lose the fear. That's bullshit. The NHS, I've seen the emails, I've seen the documented evidence that they're using fear to control their employees, and if they align to anything that they consider far right, okay, that they're going to reprimand them. People have got pensions, they've got bills like everybody else. I walked around the town this morning and people are controlled by fear. If you let fear control you, you will never get out the starting blocks.
Exactly that.
There's a wee guy here, 10-year-old standing next to me, I'm not putting him in camera. This is about him. Why should his safety be compromised?
Exactly.
So that millionaires and CEOs or shadowy offshore companies can make billions of pounds for his safety. He's 10 years of age, he doesn't even know what it is to be a man yet, before he gets to adulthood. Why should he be compromised and his wee pals be put in danger in their own communities by men, unvetted men with no criminal history checks that cannot be verified? And we're not saying all of them, that would be ridiculous, but a very disproportionate number of them have got a clear and defined interest in exploiting children for sexual gratification. I'm not going to go too far into that because there is a child present. That's where we're at, guys. And if you're a parent here that sees this video and you've walked by here and side-eyed us and put your head down and kept walking and you've got kids, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Fucking right you should.
And I don't care what your opinion is of me. I've heard it all before, I've heard all the bullshit. It's got no effect, it's white noise and it's just buzzwords. Call me whatever you like, I've got kids. If you don't speak up now, you will reap what you sow, because it's only going to get worse. These millionaires that are snapping up accommodation blocks and hotels and chains of accommodation all over the country and getting funded by the Home Office, they have got no interest in your children or your wife or your daughter's safety. It doesn't affect them. They live out in Monaco, they live abroad, they live in Dubai, spending your tax dollars. They don't give a shit about you.
People need to realise what you've just said, Ali, I'm about to jump. People need to realise it's not just wee lassies we're talking about here. Do you understand? It's not just wee lassies, it's not just women. It's vulnerable men, vulnerable women, children of both sexes. Yeah, both sexes are at risk. And the dangers are there, the dangers are real. So if you've spoken to anybody, like I've said before, if you've spoken to anybody in the town, there's concerns in the town, there's incidents that have happened in the town that have never been reported, that people are scared to speak about, that people are scared to get involved with, getting here, standing behind. People are scared to do it. So there's families at the moment with children in this high street as we're standing speaking. Why? Why are they willing to walk by and have a look? Just come and stand with us, do you understand? There's people here talking. Listen, exactly, listen to what
What's going on, son?
the register from top to bottom, the system from top to bottom is real.
Get in trouble, son.
That's not any sense.
I didn't bother.
How was it help?
Alright.
Back to normal.
It's Stephen, they've passed my medical and everything.
Oh,
They've gone back to take a job up the arse.
oh, did he? What did he do?
Him.
Oh, he just retired.
I got
I didn't tell them.
a pension. I forgot I had a pension.
But I can only tell her a number I can't.